So indeed, we are live from Western Kenya, where we have come to see the advocates. For our viewers who are watching us, welcome back to our interview. I'm your host, Kaka, and I'll be giving you some more insight about the COVID-19. For our brothers from Muslim side, Eid Mubarak, and also have your enjoy your day as you celebrate your day. It is indeed fantastic and very able to ensure that we give you what is going on and what is happening. And that is our main core and main issue, or our main part to play here at Equatorial TV. I'm live from Western Kenya, that's from Busia County, Eastern Uganda. And for those who are watching us live, thank you for what you're doing, and let's join hands together so that we get to know what is happening. And I'm so much privileged to host the legend. Let's call him the legend, Professor Patrick Othudi, and we are live from his home. We want to share some of the issues to know and get more insight from him. Remember, Professor Othudi is someone who have been there in South Sudan. He has worked and he has done a lot. He will be explaining to us. So, Professor, welcome to Equatorial TV and pleasure to meet you. So can you tell us who is Professor first and give us more info about who you are?
Thank you very much, brother Kakajuma. It is wonderful. I'm humbled. You've given me a wonderful title, and I believe that God shall really favor me with the information that will need prove and defend that title. I'm Professor today, Professor of Linguistics, English stroke literature. I also did theology. I have a diploma in theology, and I've done quite a lot. But my specialization or my bias, as far as professionalism is concerned, is teaching and talking to people and giving them information. Information is power. Once you have it, it will give you power. Although character gives you respect.
Indeed, is a man of words. For those who are watching us, you can send in your comments. You can check for, or you can go to our website or our YouTube channel and watch us live, or you can get us on Facebook and Twitter on Equatorial TV. Indeed, Professor Tsudi is a guy who has worked in South Sudan and Juba. And today we will be looking at some of the issues and how to tackle COVID-19 and economic. How do we revamp the economic during this COVID-19 period? We remember that COVID-19 has been a very major, devastating disease that have brought many of the countries' economy down. So, what is going to happen to ensure that we come up with the resolutions and come up with the solutions that will have to help us or some various countries, specifically East Africa, Africa, and the globally at large, to ensure that we come back. That's what we call revamping the economy of various countries. So Professor Tudu will be sharing with us what is going to happen and what should we do to ensure that we revamp our economy. So Professor, just briefly to give us who you are, what you used to do in South Sudan, and then we pick off.
Oh, thank you very much, Kaka Juma. Thank you very much, Equatorial TV. This is a privilege that comes at once. We say opportunity knocks but once at a man's gate. Thank you very much indeed. I'm here, Professor Tudi. While in South Sudan, I was a chief editor of a magazine called South Sudan Business Panorama. I was also a proofreader of the Pioneer Weekly, managed by Atem Yakatem, who was by then an assistant minister of information and broadcasting. I was also a consultant. We really did a great deal in building the curriculum. I led the team that wrote, we call it a team of unit writers for English language for secondary schools, headed by Professor Brian from Britain. So South Sudan is a country I love. South Sudan is a country I respect. South Sudan is a country I really long to go back to because it's a wonderful country, a country of wonderful features, a country that God has indeed empowered and endowed with wonderful natural resources. Let's go back. You see, this marauding pandemic, COVID-19, has hit us very hard indeed. It has hit us because definitely it deals with really interacting. Once you interact, and if you're not very careful without a mask, I don't have one, but I'm covered, I'm okay, I don't have it. But it is one thing that has indeed done a lot of harm. It is indeed an impediment. It is indeed, it is indeed a bad, bad thing that has not only affected South Sudan and her neighbors like Uganda, Kenya, Sudan, and Ethiopia, but globally, it has done a wonderful bad thing. Let's go back to economy. When you talk about the economy, you talk about the natural resources and you talk about the people who will exactly produce. And once the people are affected, definitely you don't expect anything good. But wonderful, God created man. It's stated that God made man made man, and man has made man a funny creature. Really, the internet has helped us a lot because with the internet we can do quite a lot. With the internet, we can pass information for these people who have been rendered jobless. People have gone to school. Education is a weapon, and it depends on who handles it. You see, we have people who have gone to school who can be contributors, who can contribute quite a lot to the economy of this country, to the economy of the country. But some of them are not at home. Others are at home because of COVID. They are indeed locked up, like our brothers in Uganda. It's that Uganda is landlocked at the moment. It is because of the pandemic, and we have been depending quite a lot on farm produce from Uganda, everything from Kenya, all right. And yet, when we look at our country, it is endowed with everything that is good, everything that can exactly bring us back life. That is an economic giant that is indeed sleeping, that needs to be woken up. And how do we wake it up? First of all, we need to have our country at heart. Our country at heart, because once we have our country at heart, we shall laugh with our hearts. We shall never laugh with our teeth. We shall exactly look at the country as being very important. We shall look at human life as very important because the human manpower is very, very, very important when it comes to exactly bring about uh, the economic stability and flourish.
So, Prof, now let's look at this particular angle. COVID-19 has come with various devastating measures or issues that have come around in a very disorganized. Let's use this word disorganized because we didn't plan for COVID-19 and no one planned for COVID-19. So, what should be done first? Now, COVID-19 is here. What should we do? Because you have seen, for instance, when you use countries, various countries like US and other countries like Britain, they decide now let's do this. And since COVID-19 is here, what are we supposed to do? Go with it, keeping in mind that COVID-19 will be with us. Let's take the scenario of HIV/AIDS and how you manage to come up, then pick from there, and we see how can we do with it. HIV, when it came, it brought some devastating measures. All the various guys were told do this and do this, but COVID-19 is different. What are we supposed to do to ensure that we are doing this? Let's start with HIV/AIDS, then we pick from there, and various diseases that have come across.
Thank you very much, Kakajuma. Dear viewers, it's wonderful. That is a wonderful question indeed. It needs a lot of concentration when it comes to explaining it. We say, he who has once encountered a buffalo takes caution when he sees a black cow. Not only that, but the end justifies the means. You see, when HIV came, it really deprived us of wonderful human resource. But we took the measures that were given. You see, once we take the measures into account, at the moment, of course, HIV is there. It is there with us. It is there, and we are with it. All right. We have lived positively. We are now living positively with that. Some of our brothers and sisters are HIV positive, but they work. They have not been, in fact, victimized. That no, you don't move here. Don't, no, okay, that's a problem that came, and we have to live with it. All right. Now, measures were taken, drugs and the RVTs were given, and then people exactly adhered to the instructions given by the experts. When we come to COVID-19, COVID-19 is tricky because it's quite amorphous. It keeps on changing from one state to another. But as I've earlier said, that he who has once encountered a buffalo takes caution when he sees a black cow. We mean to say that, of course, we need to look for measures and means of making sure that we are going to live with it. We need to need the measures, we need the precautions. We need to know that we need to have to wash our hands. We need to put on masks. We need to exactly keep the distance. We need also to pray that God, in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, gives us a breakthrough by giving us the drugs. The vaccination is there. People are being vaccinated. And we know that, of course, prevention is better than cure. We know that we are being taken care of. We apply and we humbly plead, we humbly pray that, of course, our sister countries that are able, that are already developed, that already have the background, that do not suffer from the economic limbo like some of these countries are, like some countries in Africa, all right? Those can exactly chip in. And once they chip in, we need exactly to embrace, to make sure that the precautions are taken care of. Once we are indeed advised, we need to go by the pieces of advice, because it is not there today, it will not be there tomorrow. It is there, all right? And we will live with it. What we need to do is to live positively.
Indeed, our viewers, this is a man of linguistic. I hope it is literature because your English is I can't define it. For our viewers who are watching as we are live from Western Kenya, that is in Busia, that is in Eastern Uganda. For those people who live near those areas, they can understand. I traveled all the way from Nairobi to Western Kenya indeed to get a very wonderful word and encouraging word. Remember, Professor Otsudi was a former lecturer, Christian University, hope so, and also the chairman, former chairman for policy advocacy and committee for Chamber of Commerce in South Sudan. So when professor talks, you remember, for you to be crowned that title, professor, it takes long and it takes time and some mileage for you to be where professor is. So professor, we salute you. For our viewers who are watching us, I'm your host Kaka Juma, and this is Equatorial TV. We are live on Facebook. We're also streaming live on YouTube and our other channels on Twitter handles, so you can like our page and let's keep conversations. I've seen Thomas Ramadan. I hope so. I've seen your Facebook comments. Also, Omachar Frederick, I've seen your comments and some other people. Let's keep on interacting as our sessions goes on. So, Professor Lau, now let's now go to another now stage. We are now at this particular place. Everything have been put in place and measures have put in place as you talked about. So now other people's, maybe let's say, for instance, I like Kakajuma may have been told now you can be going back at home until we call you. That's in other language we call it you're being interdicted. Now, for those people, now let's talk now economically, keeping in mind that we have interdictions and we need to employ the manpower. What are we supposed to do to ensure that now, since other people can't reach to for as you talked about our mother country, our sister country here in Uganda, now they are under the under landlock. Let's use that word. So since they are under lockdown, what are they supposed to do to ensure that they keep on going with their normal routines or jobs? Then keeping in mind that whatever comes out or anything that is new, normal has some repercussions and some disadvantages. For instance, let's now focus on internet. One, we have what we call some cookies, cybercrime, and other things that might happen. Your account is hacked, and other things starts running there. How do we encounter that? And how do we work from home, keeping in mind that COVID-19 is there, and there's some measures that have been put in place to ensure that we boost the country's economy and revamp the economy to where it was.
Thank you very much, wonderful Kaka Juma. You are indeed an invaluable asset when it comes to journalism, because yours, journalists don't cook stories, but exactly they give people what they have seen and not what they have heard, but what they have seen. Thank you very much for that. You know, in any situation, brother Kakajuma, I base on three principles. One is seeing, two judging, and three is indeed acting. Because definitely we have seen this COVID is there. COVID has not only affected South Sudan, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, but it has affected the globe, the world. Uh, you go to other countries, people are dying in hundreds every day. All right, we're only fortunate because God has covered us. We are not dying in hundreds. We are dying okay. We can be dying in twenties and tens and so on. But one very important thing I've said: challenges mastered. Those are opportunities won. Already we have the challenges like hacking and so on. Yet I believe that, of course, the communication, those that are in charge of ICT should exactly come up with a way to make sure that this hacking and so on can be prevented. Okay, because in a place like South Sudan, for example, electricity is not there per se. We use generators and so on. Solar can fail and so on. All right, so that is indeed a challenge. That's a challenge. So when it comes to internet, you will not be able to get information online. Okay, but going to school, education is a weapon, and it depends on who handles it. Okay, when we go to school, we need to go to school knowing very well that at one given time we will get a job, and we shall not be there for life. We will leave. Either you can be sacked, you can retire, or you can just feel you don't want it and go somewhere else. We need to look for ways and means of getting things done. For example, we can turn to agriculture. All right, we can exactly turn to agriculture. We can farm. We can go to poultry farms. We can exactly go looking at the mangoes. For example, in Yambio, I remember when I was there sometimes with the Vice President, His Excellency Bakasi Bangasia. All right, that is a wonderful man. All right, one man who really respects his people. One man who loves his people. I was there for 2 months, but I never heard the sound of a gun. And where elsewhere there are sounds of that, because this is one man who really respects the people. Let me go back to my point. The mangoes there, all right? You see, many mangoes. We could exactly use that and find out who is there to help us come up with a machine that can help us now add value to that mango and sell it. All right? We have other things. We have very many things in South Sudan. People who have lost jobs, many have lost jobs, and families are in suffering because, like in Africa, once you get a job, that job is not only for you, but it's for you to make sure that you take care of your family. We have the extended family. We are not like people in the West that, this is my mother, this my no. With us, your grandmother, your great grandmother, if she's still there, she still means a lot to you. You need to take care of her. So what we need to do is to make sure that we look for ways and means of really subsistence, of really trying to see what can we do in order to get the life going, because a country that is economically stable must be it must have what we call food security. It must be secure when it comes to food. All right, and food is not done on paper; it's done on the ground. All right, okay, it's done on the ground. Okay, so we need to go back and apply that knowledge, and possibly the governments should look for some funds to make sure that such groups are indeed funded and supported. Such groups are indeed educated, are indeed they are empowered. Okay, in terms of knowledge and in terms of other facilities, and then we look for markets. When I was the chairperson of the Policy Advocacy Committee, ours was to identify the bottlenecks that interfere with the flourish of business and inform the government, inform the policymakers that such and such thing is not organic well. It is affecting our economy, because once we have more investors, then we have more revenue, because these investors will pay tax. All right, that was our major role, to make sure that we establish the bottlenecks. All right, like NTBs, you find roadblocks, so many of them. This money does not go to the government. Some money goes to the pockets of these people. You know,
So, Prof, now let's talk about now how do we go? For instance, we want now to invest. For instance, we're supposed to solve some other peoples from various countries. For instance, what are we supposed to do to ensure? Because last time when we had an interview with Ambassador told us the first thing one is supposed to invest. Uh, there are some of the measures. For instance, let's now look generally in East Africa. You have now carried the feasibility test. What could you consider to ensure that now we are now in COVID-19? For instance, some countries said, let's use some programs to ensure that we give what we call stipends to those who are affected. Now, country like uh, East and Eastern Africa and other world, what should they supposed to do to ensure that now here in Kenya we are doing this, in Uganda we are doing this, in South Sudan, Tanzania, and other countries to ensure that now we bring the economy back to the keeping in mind that now those countries are now in peace and they are now working as one thing. What are we supposed to do to ensure now we come up with the solutions that now we will do this to ensure that we come slowly, slowly. For instance, you saw the measures that Kenyan government put in place. They said now we reduce our taxes, we don't tax this, and that. So to other countries, for instance, there's somebody who is watching you from UK,
Yeah, right.
India, and let's say in Canada, Egypt, and those countries. Now let's talk now generally. What are we supposed to do to ensure that now this will link up to this particular place to come up with this solution?
Oh, thank you very much. Let me go back to a philosopher who said this, that the sea will never cease to be troubled. There are gales, also very strong winds. But you see, fishermen have never ceased to go. By this, I mean to say that COVID 19 is here with us. While other countries are taking other measures, we should also take other measures, because once they take the measures, it's noted that, of course, once your neighbor is in trouble, don't just ignore that, because that trouble can easily spill into your place. So yours is to make sure that your neighbor is also taken care of. Number one, as Kenya has indeed looked at the taxes, that is wonderful. Taxes, reduce the taxes. They have not done away with taxes, because paying tax is an obligation. You pay tax in order to get services from the government. So that one is an obligation. Once the taxes are lowered, that will be all right. Let there be that movement. That movement, it should not be restricted. Okay, because we have so many things that we can get from different countries. You know, these sister countries from South Sudan, from Tanzania, from Uganda, Rwanda, and Burundi. All right, we need to we need to sensitize the people on the problems of COVID-19. It is there. It's real. Okay. The other thing is that we need to set up groups. Best, especially, we need to look at the youth. You know, in other countries, this is a group that is, let me use a word, neglected, neglected. And they will tell you that, of course, these are the leaders of tomorrow. But who is a leader? A leader knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. All right? The youth can be empowered to exactly contribute. Okay, looking at each and every person's talent, and then you set a group. Okay, and that group is funded to make sure that an activity that is money generating is really introduced. Okay, now the other thing is we need to look for ways and means of turning the natural resources we have. All right, let's look at, I already mentioned mangoes, we have oranges, we have watermelon, we have all these. And when you look at watermelon, these are, watermelon is a wonderful fruit. It has a lot to help the body really strengthen its resistance. All right. The other thing is that the markets, we have markets here, all right? These markets should be put into use, but making sure that, of course, the restrictions, are indeed taken care of. Sensitize people on what is important in terms of body protection. All right, making sure that the research. My point is, especially governments, they need exactly to invest a lot in trying to find out what can be brought into use that can help people. Governments must fund these research projects, especially when it comes to AIDS. AIDS, and not only that, but the COVID-19. Research should also be brought in, especially in trying to add value to some of the things we have. Okay, so that when you have, for example, we have the best millet is from Busia, Kenya here. All right, it's just played about with. But once this is indeed, once value is added, is packed nicely and so on, it's exported to either Australia or Britain. It will earn our country, our people money.
Indeed, for those viewers who are watching us, it is a very insightful and statements that brings you back, because most of us we've lost some of our dignities, and because of the jobs that we had, it might be have been gone. So we are now talking about how can we revamp the country's economy to ensure that we come back with what we used to be. Obvious, life will not come as usual as it was, but life normally keeps on changing. I'm here with a linguistic legend. Let me use that language because it's a literature and he has done a lot. And if you check on his word, or if you listen keenly, he's a man with a wise words. Let me use that word. I traveled all the way from Nairobi, Kenya to come and get some of his insights so that we get to know, we as people, we people from different countries who are trying to mingle and come together, our relationship is no longer there because of COVID-19 and other issues. And now, how can we come back and come back with bouncing? Let me use that bouncing word so that we can revamp our economy. So we are live here, and I'm in Western Kenya. That's the Eastern Uganda. For those people who know Busia. So, Professor, was told that Busia means pass, huh?
Mhm.
Because this is a word from Luya tribe that means pass. So for our viewers, Professor has taught me the new word. Busia means pass. So at the border, that's in Busia border, they used to pass some things. Huh? For instance, you said millets and maize and other things they had to pass through there. So the word pass in Professor's language, that's from Luya, means Busia. So indeed, it is a very wonderful, and they say whenever you go somewhere, you're supposed to learn whatever it is there, so that you get to get into that community. Professor, I know very well. He knows some of the it's called Janab, or the South Sudan language. For our fans who normally listen for our music show called Janab, Professor also knows that. Also Arabic.
Juba Rabbit.
Juba Arabic. So Professor is the linguistic legendary. Let me use that word. Is the man with word and means whatever he say. And for our viewers who have joined us, Professor is the former chairman for a policy advocacy committee for Chamber of Commerce South Sudan. He is also former uh, lecturer Christian University in Juba, South Sudan, that is in Juba. And Professor has held also several titles, including the Panorama, I hope so, proofreader for some newspapers in South Sudan, Pioneer Weekly, and with many others, he has done several things. So here he's an advisor for Busia County Business Committee, I hope so. And he normally
County Business Forum.
they count business forums, and he normally gives them what he used to do in Juba, that's in South Sudan. And live where we are discussing some issues. Now, Professor, let's now look at our.
Just a minute, Brother Kaka. There's something I had forgotten which is very important. When it comes to involving people in building the economy, women should not be left behind. People with disabilities should not be left behind. There is a group in South Sudan that is indeed run by Dr. Aja Kwal. I once said, I quoted Margaret Thatcher, that if you want anything said, ask a man. But if you want anything done, ask a woman. You see, once you empower women, definitely you are doing a wonderful thing because women laugh with their hearts. Women are very, very loving. They are forgiving. She will never eat alone. She will always eat last. Okay. So once women are empowered, definitely we shall move ahead. Once people with disabilities are also indeed brought into, once they are indeed included, we will have a complete society that no one will unmadvert. To unmadvert means to blame. No one will unmadvert another.
Indeed, it is a very wonderful. And for those guys like Kaka Juma, language, if it is a problem to you, then you'll not get professor because mostly he used what we call proverbs to talk whatever he. You said a woman is asked to be what, and a man is.
If you want anything said, ask a man. But if you want anything done, ask a woman. That means women are more practical. When you look at the business in the world, in fact, 95% of these businesses, or those who have read my article, I wrote the rejuvenation of the role of women in the rejuvenation of any state. Okay, I was looking at South Sudan, women carrying maize, women, breaking stones to go and sell. You know, that's a wonderful group that should not be neglected.
Indeed, very soon we will be looking for Dr. Kwal. Very soon we will be looking for Dr. Kwal so that we get some of the insight to ensure that we come up with a solution. So we are live from Busia, and as I told you, when you go somewhere, you're supposed to learn some new things. I've learned that Busia means pass. So Busia is a border between Kenya and Uganda. That is where we say Eastern Uganda, but in Kenya it is Western Kenya. So we are live from Busia, that's Western Kenya, with the Professor Thudi. As you've heard, he has held many positions while in South Sudan, but right now he's also holding a certain positions in Busia County. For those people who don't know about the county is the same as state. So here in Kenya they call it county, but some various countries they call it state. So Professor Thudi is at home, and we have moved all the way from Nairobi to ensure that we give you all that is best, and Equatorial TV gives you the best. Whatever you need, the best comes from Equatorial TV. For those guys who are watching us, thank you for sending in your views and your comments. As we said, keep on sending in your comments so that we get interacted. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, and other channels to ensure that you get whatever we are doing, and we give you the best because you are the best client and you're the best fan for Equatorial TV. Thank you for being wonderful viewers and whatever you are watching. So, Professor, let's now change our angle, keeping in mind that we are talking about how to revamp the country's economy. Now, let's talk about, now we are now heading to a certain particular where we need to live with this COVID-19 and we need to work. What are we supposed to do to come up with the solutions that will give us the more long lasting solutions so that as we observe COVID-19 rules, we also ensure that we keep getting what we're supposed to get in order to earn a living. Then COVID-19 with us, we have talked about with us, we have talked what are we supposed to do. Now we are with it, we want to stay with it. How do we go? We don't blame someone. We don't go by this. One, we are observing COVID-19 rules. Now we have been interdicted. As you said, that job will be there, come and go. You won't live with your job forever. There's a time you'll live and live without it. So we want to live now. Let's focus on how do we live without it or with it. For instance, keeping in mind one time we will retire and COVID-19 will be there for a certain period. How do we live with it or with COVID-19, keeping in mind that we either have the job or we don't have? Then the number two, let's focus now on how can we now come up with the solutions and some measures to ensure that we get interacting with that, because keeping in mind other businesses have been dropped. You can't export or import. Maybe if it is there, it is with minimal point. What are we supposed to do?
Thank you very much, Brother Juma. You're already giving me titles. Some of them are very expensive, but I thank God for that. because let me briefly state one. I was in Juba. Okay, kweshita kwes, Kabbalah, they would say, talakulu, please come and eat. Everyone, that's great. Let's look at this. Let me look at what Peter Drucker says. Peter Drucker says that for anything to happen, if you see anything going on, someone must have taken or must have made a very serious decision. Now, this decision we want to make here is, first of all, we need to look at one thing. Life has to go on, with or without COVID-19. It should not impede, it should not thwart, it should not hinder, it should not, in fact, detriment our lifestyle. I think number one, I said, I was looking at the three stages when it comes to taking a decision. One is seeing. We are seeing this COVID-19. We are looking at exactly the challenges. We are looking at the detriment, how detrimental it is in terms of jobs, life. Every day people die. People are, some factories are really closed. And once they close, of course, people go home, the breadwinners. And once they go home, that's a problem. That's why even in other countries, the degree of suicides is so high. All right, because a person sees that now he has reached a point of no return. Let's not go there. Let's try to be productive. Having seen, let's judge. Now, judging definitely, we say now, we have lost the job. Shall we sit and just forget there's no job? No, we need to look for ways and means of getting something else to do that will indeed help us get some money. All right. In other places, like in South Sudan, fish die of old age. All right. Fish die of old age.
Indeed, our viewers, we have some experiences of technical issues, but as they say, whatever comes normally comes out with some issues and some problems. Thank you for watching us. As I told you, we are live from Busia, that is in Western Kenya, and some technical hiccup normally happens anytime and anywhere. Keeping in mind that we are streaming live from the other sources, that is on the technical issues might happens. In fact, when you just are driving, you can also encounter some problems. Oh, professor, because keeping in mind whatever that made with human beings normally comes up with the repercussions. But thank you for being loyal and also very patient to wait for us until we've come back. So, Professor, we are talking something. Kindly recap on what we had been just discussing about it so that we get to know what happened because our internet had to go collapse and other things.
Thank you very much, Kaka Juma. You know, you have paid invaluably because traveling all the way from Nairobi to come interview me, to me, that's grace. Grace means the unmerited favor bestowed upon someone. Now, really, what we are talking about, we are looking at exactly how do we empower. We are looking at how do we revive the economy. We are looking at exactly the three principles: see, judge, and then act. All right. We looked at the groups that should be empowered. All right. These groups that are still energetic, that can still help exactly revive the economy. Okay, because I say that the challenges mastered, those are opportunities one. All right, the challenge we have is COVID now. All right, now we have mastered it. We need to look for opportunities to make sure that this, although COVID is there, it should not look, it should not be indeed an impediment that now we sit and die. No, we need to work. Okay, uh, I always say forward ever, backward never. That is our principle. All right. Now we need to look for ways and means to make sure that the government exactly spends money in research to come up with the drugs, to come up with other ways and means to make sure that things are done. Internet should be improved on. All right. Electricity should be provided. All right. So that instead of moving from one place to another, like now, you see, this is wonderful equatorial TV. I'm in Busia, but people all over the world are viewing Equatorial TV. May God reward you uniquely. May God reward you uniquely in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. You've gone an extra mile. It takes a friend to tell you there is something on your nose. So here we are looking at the fact that, of course, we need to revamp the economy. One, by empowering, especially the forces. We have to empower women. We have to empower the youth. We have to empower people with disabilities. We have to make use of what is available. You know, I'm looking at the Bible when God asked Moses, "What do you have?" Moses said, "I have a stick. I have my rod here." He said, "Please, you'll use that one. We need to use that to make sure that something is done, to make sure that miracles are made." All right, by exactly working hard, because I know. I want to be like the lizard that jumped from the rock tree and praised himself because no one was praising him. So, so here definitely we need to look for ways and means because our people, you know, our people matter. Our people are very important. Our people are an invaluable asset. All right. Because once people, where are you from Kenya, where are you from South Sudan, where are you from Tanzania, from Uganda, you know, you are proud. And all of us are brothers because we have the same origin. All right, we are brothers, irrespective of diverse languages and so on, cultures and so on. We belong to the same. We are children of one person. So, brother Kakajuma, we need to look for ways and means
Thank you so much. As I told you, in whatever things that normal comes out, we normal have some challenges, and we are having some challenges. Thank you for the whole production crew for making sure that we come back in a bouncing manner so that we continue with our interviews with the legend, that is a linguistic man, Professor Tsude. For those who have listened with a very keen eye, you will observe that he is using most very word, a very wonderful word with the hidden meanings for you. That's for any person who have done literatures. They are so sharp and they are so much mentored when it comes in to matter of languages. So you'll find him, if you're not keen, you will miss out the point. But thank you for our viewers, our esteemed viewers who have kept on waiting for us to when we experience some technical hiccup to ensure that we are together. Thank you for viewing us. Wherever you are watching us, thank you, our esteemed viewer. You make us so proud. And this is Equatorial TV. And as I told you, we are live from from Busia, Western Kenya, and we are at Professor Otsudi's home where we are making or we are exchanging some words here and there. For some people, call it an interview so that we ensure we get and we learn in the world. The best they say that word or advice is the power. So you don't need money, you don't need anything, but when you give the advice it will help you to go. So Professor, now keeping in mind that we are almost heading to an end, Busia County is known for sugarcane. Let's say the western region and Nyanza at large is known for producing a very huge and a very wonderful sugar, and they have some sugar millers. So keeping in mind that the other countries also want to emulate or they want to copy all this one, maybe they feel one time they will invest in sugarcane company first. What are done to ensure that you start planting sugarcane? Keeping in South Sudan, there is some sugar and other companies that own there, also in Uganda, Tanzania, and in many other countries. So, what should we do to ensure that with this COVID-19 and with revamping the economy, uh, we we bring back people to the table or to where they used to be, keeping in mind that you've talked about the youth, the disabled people, and other things. So as we pick on, let's first recap on what you were saying, then we go to Western region, Kenya at large in sugar production, and also give us what normal happens for you to start some companies, keeping in mind that here where you are is just a few minutes to sugar millers here at Busia. That's called Busia Sugar Company. And some few steps you'll find other millers. So what are they supposed to do to ensure that they incorporate other farmers to ensure that they reduce and avoid these some quash and some quarrels with the farmers or the cane farmers? Let's start with what the recap of what you're talking about.
Okay, thank you very much, Kakajuma. Viewers, you're welcome back. We are grateful to have you with me. Viewers are the kings and the queens. We are most grateful. What I was trying to look at, in other countries, people are talking of AK-47 and so on. It depends on who exactly is using that. It's not supposed to be used on an innocent person. It is there to defend, protect the country. That is all. People should get that. What we are looking at is indeed the value of the country in terms of human resource. We are looking at what can we do to make sure that we are on our feet. Okay, who sails into the sea knows exactly how far he can go. But if you have never sailed, you will never. You look at the sea and you get afraid. We are looking at the fact that, of course, we have said we are in the sea, and the sea here is the COVID-19. We must look at our boat. We must look at our engines. We must look at the people piloting these boats. We should look at exactly how fast are we going, all right, in terms of development. So here, I feel there is a need for us, as I mentioned earlier, that there is need for us to empower people. We need exactly to make use of what we have at hand to make sure that things are done. If you have sugar cane, if you have millet, if you have maize, that should be processed nicely and sold. you get some money. And most governments should reduce the tax. Fuel has gone up so much. And, traveling, if fuel goes up, it affects everything. Even the common man who doesn't have a vehicle will indeed pay very expensive because he has to buy fuel, he has to buy paraffin, he has to buy a matchbox, and so on. Okay, so we need to look at that. We need to look at things that can indeed detriment the flow, that can exactly throw us into some economic limbo. All right. Um, Perception is very important. Perception is very important. The way we perceive things, we need to be positive. I've always told my students that I appreciate and respect what you call critical appreciation. When you tell me, Professor, you've made a mistake here, I said, thank you very much for looking at that. Thank you. You are a friend. It takes a friend to tell you there's a mistake here. All right. So let's indeed utilize what we have. Let's put into use the precautions we've been given to make sure that COVID is indeed dealt with. All right. We need to advocate for funds to make sure that research is done to look for drugs to make sure that, of course, like AIDS, which is now losing its power, at one given time, COVID will lose its power. And as it loses, these people, for us who are already at home, let's not be a spendthrift. Well, let's not be there because COVID. No, we need to look for something to do because I said the means, the way, the destination justifies the means. All right. Now I have to go to Busia, and from my place to Busia is 25 kilometers. If I don't have a car, I have to get a bicycle. If I don't have a bicycle, I'll walk. All right. And when I walk, I don't walk painfully. I walk positively. There is something I'm going to do that is positive. Right. Now, when it comes to farming, I need to go back. East or west, home is best. Mandela said, if you talk to a person in his language, the message goes to his heart. But if you talk to him in a language he understands, the message goes to the head. Now, here, South Sudan has been empowered with natural resources. The land there is rich. What we need is to improve on the machinery. We need to get tractors, all right? We need to get the seeds to plant. Like South Sudan, I don't think whether it needs fertilizers because I believe there are certain areas that have never been used, they have never been tilled since God created this world. All right. So that place is naturally fertile. I visited a place in Rumbek. A tomato is very big, this big, but it never got any fertilizer. All right. We need to look at that. We need to look at what we have.
Now, Professor, and keeping in mind that Busia is the source, Western Kenya
Yeah, right.
is the source of sugar. Let's say sugar generally, if it is sugar cane or sugar. What do you think it's supposed to be applied to other countries? And keeping in mind that Mumia's Sugar Company was a very big company. Let's now of partial look at the relationship between the farmers and the miller.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let me go back to what I said that, of course, the customer is the queen and the king. Here, the farmer should be the king or the queen. Uh, Here, farmers should be integrated into the whole program, all right? Because these are the producers. These give you the raw material, and these people who give them it must be treated well, so that once you treat them there well, you will motivate them, all right? These brokers, these cartels in between who exactly come and misuse their responsibility. They come and really punish the farmers. Should be done away with. The farmer, the factory, the factory or the company, the sugar company should have direct contact. All right. Now, Mumias used to do well at one given time because they were giving farmers the seed, they were giving them the fertilizer, they would exactly send the tractors, okay, and then the farmer would exactly meet the cost later on. All right. That should be done. Okay. Instead of you have sugarcane and it's left on the farm until it is even useless. All right. Even if it's cut, it will not give you what you really worked for in terms of really the dividends. All right. So what I'm saying is that the farmers must be integrated into the whole plan. The farmers should be visited. They should hold meetings. Public participation should be there, and the factory, the factory fellows should exactly do that. Okay, so that the farmer is informed. He has information. He's empowered with information. He knows my sugar cane should be this. I've not done this. It needs this because some of them don't have that information. They need that information, and we should give them that information, those that are taking the sugar cane.
So, Prof, now let's talk about as we finalize. September, Kenya will be holding the Agri Summit, the issues of, and you've been representative. There is a time you went to Uganda on issues that goes to South Sudan and representations. When they are holding this summit, the world, let's say world will be here in Kenya to ensure that they discuss various things. And we have come out with this COVID-19 and food security. Now let's talk about the informal settlement, keeping in mind that business is supposed to go there as usual, and economic doesn't disintegrate that you own too, living informal or you're supposed to pay taxes. What are the main focal points you think when Agrif will be held here in September? That's 7th, 8th, 9th until 10th in terms of food security.
Uh, uh,
Then let's keep in mind the chemical applied on various foods. And that's in terms of preservations and other things to ensure that food normally exists for some times. Then COVID-19, food security, water, and informal settlements. What is your take on that?
Thank you very much. You helped me remember that with Australia. You know, I was in Uganda 2015. We're doing it was a conference, the ease of doing business in war-torn countries, and we're looking at the fact that, of course, even if you have war, you can still carry out business. Yet, I'm looking at peace as a prerequisite. And once you cannot talk about peace, you must have it. You must exactly advocate for that. Now, when these people meet here, definitely will address the cardinal challenges that are affecting human life today. One is COVID-19. They should look for ways and means of making sure that drugs are available, vaccinations, the vaccines are there, and they can be easily reached. All right, so that by the end of the day, you know, prevention is better than cure. Water is another thing. You know, they say the nearer the church, the farther away from God. I was in Bunyala recently, and I saw exactly how people are walking, carrying water on their heads. You know, walking kilometers. All right, they need to look for ways and means of exactly making sure that each and every home has access to water. Because once you have access to water, you will use that water to do a number of things. All right, whether there is rain or not, you can still grow things. Okay, you can make sure that things are done very well, right? When it comes, we are talking COVID, we are talking food security, we are looking at the country, the world has become a global village now. All right, they must come up with exact means and ways of bringing people together. All right, making sure that people travel from one place to another, making sure that business is done without much ado. People who are, you know, it pains when guns, which are meant to protect people, are used on innocent people. All right, they should not. And this is indeed brought about by the greed, you know, self-centeredness. That's not very good. So the world is meeting here today. My take on this is people should come up with tangible ideas, tangible means and ways of improving human life in spite or in the presence of COVID-19.
So now, Prof, as we end these sessions, what is your take, especially generally what we've talked about the business and how to revamp the economy, specifically in these let's call the I don't know if it is a middle class or the third world, or I don't know. Apart from before COVID-19 came, and after this COVID-19, we'll have to experience some issues for us to come out. I don't know if it is called the third world, but what are we supposed to do to ensure that when we come into our normal, we go back to where we were and we don't do as much as during this COVID-19? Because keeping in mind that COVID-19 has brought some problems as other things have been erupted. And you've talked about one, we have that depressions and other things that might happen. What are we supposed to, how do we prepare our minds in case of any disasters? Because I know after 10 or in your history when you used to live, before we came to COVID-19, we were chasing the locust. There is the obvious in every country, we're supposed to have what we call emergency fund and emergency response team. So after COVID-19, we can't predict what will happen. So what is your advice, just briefly, specifically keeping in mind we're supposed to have the committee that uh, goes hand in hand with the emergency response team and fund? How can we provide and keep in mind the funds are supposed to run one, two, three, four?
Thank you very much, Brother Juma. This is wonderful. Kaka to me means brother, and a very precious one. Um, Let me go back to what I said, that we need to see, judge, and act. We say that, of course, the end justifies the means. We are looking at the fact that, of course, he who has once encountered a buffalo takes caution when he sees a black cow. The black cow here is COVID-19. We are seeing it, and it is really killing us. My take here is we need to act responsibly. We need to act, we need to be accountable. We need to do things not looking at self, but looking at others. All right? Let's look at the people. Let's not look at ourselves. The leaders. The leaders should exactly come and say, we are here for the people, with the people, and by the people. That's democracy. We need to exactly make sure that the related or the responsible departments in this, for example, medicine, that needs to be revamped. That needs exactly more research, more medicines should be brought. Okay. When we look at agriculture, more machinery and means and ways. Because now, when we look at the third world countries are there, third world countries, because possibly it is because of the wish of those who are in leadership. All right, because some countries started together, but today these countries are thousands of kilometers away from there. All right, why? Priority. We need to prioritize. A country that is food insecure, that's no country. Because manpower, when it comes to human manpower, will not be there. No food. You see, a hungry man is an angry man. All right. So the other thing is that we need to empower people with information. Information is power. Once we give people, we equip people with relevant information, relevant machinery, relevant the security, and also look at even the taxes paid. Taxes paid should be used in such a manner that, of course, by the end of the day, the taxpayer is able to be proud.
So, Prof, indeed, it is a very, it was been a very short and very interesting session since we started the sessions, our interviews, and to our viewers, wherever you're watching us, we want now to end our session since it was an hour, and through that, we just wish to get some of the last comments from Professor, and for our brothers from Juba, Professor will talk to you and. Yeah, I hope it is a Janab or and some Arabic so that you gets to know these guys from used to be there and still he will be there. Then we'll be also going to get more interviews. But Professor, before you give us the last comment, I've realized one thing. You and Ambassador of South Sudan here in Kenya, that's Chol. You have one thing. You talk of one visual. and other thing is peace, peace, peace. Because Ambassador told us with peace you'll have to excel, because one, everything is okay, 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 tick, tick, and you move. Because one, before you invest, you're supposed to have peaceful and also coexistence. Your mind is supposed to be settled, because even the family, you can't get into your family when you're not okay. You're supposed to be okay. Also, mindful, knowing what to do, seeing and focusing is another thing. So, Professor, to give us the last insight so that we get to end the show for other processions to keep on coming.
Thank you very much for that. Let me go back and say that, of course, for us to do anything positive, we need peace. And how can this peace be brought? This peace can be brought by the policymakers, those who are in power, who are in power, to make sure that human life is indeed important, to make sure that people are talked about in terms of with the peace, everything is possible. With the peace, we will be very proud. With the peace, we'll be respected. All right, and this can only come from the cardinal leaders. All right, these leaders should bring us together. They should forget about other differences. Let's not look at what was yesterday, although what was there yesterday helps us to do what is here today. All right, let's come together as a nation. Let's come back together as a region. I remember I wrote something about why it was necessary for South Sudan to join the East African community. All right, when I discussed it with Mao Mao, the late, he was impressed. He was the general secretary of the East African community at that time. All right. But unfortunately, he passed on. That, of course, we need to get together. We need to make sure that the young people who are holding guns and they don't know they use they're using that to terrorize other very innocent people should stop that. Okay, and once it is stopped, we shall come back to life. And I repeat, I say, South Sudan is indeed the granary of the Eastern region.
Indeed, now we wish Professor to greet you in our both Arabic and other languages, and we come and leave the show.
Itakwes, in Yambia, I would say, Senefa Bolo, Gilpai, Paite, Tamboya. That means I'm greeting you in Zande. I was there. I've really done quite a lot for South Sudan. I headed the team that worked on the unity writing of the curriculum. I was a consultant with the National Bureau of Standards. I was an international consultant hired by USAID. I was a principal of Nile International Academy that worked so hard and was graded almost the best in Africa when I was there. That's wonderful. It was because of the cooperativeness. It was because of the cooperation. It was because of the unity with the teachers and the parents and the students worked hard. We need that even in the country. We need that. People should be respected.
Tell them thank you in your language.
Oriumuno, Tamboya in my language, Oriumuno, Moriumuno, Equatorial TV, you've done a wonderful thing. You've really given me something I never expected. What I have, I give to you, and may the Lord God bless you abundantly. Kaka Juma, thank you very much for sacrificing to travel the way to Nairobi, from Nairobi to this place to interview me. And anytime you want information, I have quite a lot of information on business and everything on South Sudan, Trademark East Africa, IFC. I have quite a lot of information.
Indeed, it was a very wonderful and interesting sessions. And they say, as once a wise man talks, you don't talk more. As they said, once encountered the buffalo.
Yeah, he who has once encountered a buffalo takes caution when he sees a black cow.
So when you see black cow, kindly avoid, because it might be a buffalo, but not all black cows are buffaloes. So thank you, our viewers. I was your host, Kaka Juma. Thank you for what you've done, and very wonderful. We had some hiccup, that is technical problems, but through you have observed and you've been able to view the session since it was started from 12 up to now. Thank you for our viewers. I was your host, Kaka Juma. I'll be going back to Nairobi to ensure we also get other interviews as we keep on. Equatorial TV will bring you the best. Thank you, technical crew. my studio Raider, thank you for being there for us. You've been done very wonderful despite of the challenges we have gone through. Thank you for what you do. All production crew, our directors and all county directors, thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for amazing Equatorial TV. You made us so proud. For our kings and queens, those are our viewers. Thank you for watching us live from Busia, Kenya. Thank you. I was your host Kaka Juma with my guest, a legendary man called Professor Patrick Otsudi. All the best as you expect and view our next episodes of show. Thank you so much from this point to other ends, from the bottom of my heart. I wish just to say thank you so much. I was your host, Kaka Juma.